Yo, 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 yo. Hello. Here we are at 5.3 part 2. And we're going to talk about simple interest. And some of you may or may not know what interest is. So we'll talk about what interest is and then a certain formula for simple interest. And look at some examples of that. If you have not watched 5.3 part 1, make sure you watch that one first, please. So stop watching now, go watch that. All right. So interest, what it is, it's the amount of money you earn or pay for when you borrow money or from when you loan money out to somebody. So what I mean is that let's say you want to go buy a car. Okay, and when you buy a car, it's a $30,000. Let's just say it's $20,000 car. Okay, so $20,000. Well, a lot of people don't have $20,000 lying around in order to buy something. So what they do is they take out a loan. They take out a car loan, and they have to pay that money back to whoever they borrowed the loan from, whoever the bank is, and they have to pay that money back plus interest. So that's how these people who loan out money, that's how they make money, is they make money from loaning out money and then making you pay interest when you pay the money back. That interest is extra money on top of the $20,000 so that they make a little bit extra money just from loaning you that money that you didn't have. So if you're loaning out money, it's extra money that you make for being nice and loaning out the money. And if you're borrowing money from somebody, it's extra money that you pay when you pay back the borrowed money. So a $20,000 car, if you take out a loan to buy it, it really end up, by the time you pay it off, maybe in 6 years, it might end up costing $23,000 because you might have to pay $3,000 in interest. Now, the amount of interest you pay is based on the percentage about the interest rate you get, which is a percentage. So it's based on the interest rate that you get. So right now, like a good interest rate for a car would be considered like 3% or even 2%. So that means you're paying back 2%. Principal is the original amount of money deposited or borrowed. So the principal is what you start off with. So what I mean by that is, let's say you buy this car, it's a $20,000 car. Well, you might put money down on it. So maybe you might put down $2,000. So that's the amount of money that you started off with. Or if you put money in a savings account. So, and you can also earn money of interest when you have a savings account. So you can put, I'll use $10,000 this time. Let's say I put $10,000 in a savings account that I don't touch, and it earns interest over a certain amount of years, and let's say it earns 2% interest. That means I'm earning 2% interest just for giving the bank my $10,000, and they're going to use it, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to put it in my savings and not touch it, and it's going to earn interest because then they're going to use that money and however they see fit. So that 2% interest is going to be the interest rate that I earn money back, and then this $10,000 would be considered the principal. This was the starting amount. Okay, and then for my car loan, however much I borrow, let's say I put $2,000 down, that means the $18,000 remaining, that's my principal, that's my starting amount of money borrowed. Okay, instead of talking about it, let's actually look at some examples. Let's look at your formula, and then I think from there, I think it'll make a little bit more sense. So the simple interest formula, this is it, I equals PRT. I is the amount of interest that you actually make, so this is a dollar amount. Okay, or that you have to pay. P is the principal, that's the starting point. That's what we talked about, the starting amount. R is your rate, that's the percentage. And T is time in years, how long you have to pay it off. So let's use that formula for this problem. So I'm going to rewrite it, I equals PRT. Okay, I'll make that a capital I to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to use this formula with these values. So Terry deposits $200 into a bank account. So there's your principal. That's her starting point. She deposits means she puts money in to her account. She starts off with $200. And then it earns 3% simple interest per year. So there's our rate. Okay. So our rate is 3%. Our principal is $200 was that starting amount, and we're trying to figure out how much interest she earns. after 2 years. There's our time. So now I just got to multiply these three values, but now we have to remember that when I multiply by a percentage, that I cannot leave it as a percentage. I got to change it to a decimal. So really, my interest earned equals 200 times, well, move it over twice, add that 0, 0.03 times 2. And now it's just as simple as multiplying these three values. So you can multiply in any order you want. It doesn't really matter. So I could do 200 times 2, which is 400. And that'd be 400 times 0.003. And then for 400 times 0.003, we could work it off here, off to the side. Some of you are saying, Mr. G, this is easy because it's just 3 times 4. And I get that. So 0, 0, 12, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's 12. So interest earned equals $12. Now, that's not the answer to the question, though. Let's look at what it's asking us. What we figured out is that this person deposited $200 into this savings account. If it earns 3% simple interest per year, after 2 years, they would have made an additional $12 in interest just for doing nothing, just for letting their money sit there. So that's $12 that they made. What is the total amount in the account after 2 years? So the total money, we're assuming that Terry has never taken money out of the account, that she's just let it sit there. So after 2 years, the total amount of money is not $12. $12 is how much interest she earned. The total amount of money was the $200 she initially put plus the interest she earned, which was 12. So therefore, the total amount is $212. Okay? So she earned $12 extra just for letting her money sit in the account, because that's how interest works sometimes. Depending on, there's a lot of different types of interest, but this is simple interest, and there's different types of accounts. Not every account earns the same rate or over the same amount of time, and so on and so forth. So here we go. Tiffany borrows $4,000 to buy a car. So she didn't have the $4,000 she needs to buy a car, so therefore she had to borrow it from the bank. So that's our principal. That's the starting borrowed amount, is $4,000. 4% simple interest rate. There's my rate. And I'm just going to write it out as 0.04. I'm going to put it out as a decimal right away. And then it's for 7 years. What will be the final price of the car after 7 years? So we need to figure out how much total interest she has to pay on this at this 4% over 7 years. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add this amount to the original cost of the car, because that's going to give us the total cost of the car after paying interest for it as well. So then again, we get to multiply in any order we want. What I like to do is I always just like to take my principal and my time, because those are normally whole numbers I can easily multiply by mental math to get 28,000 times 0.04. For the sake of time, I'm going to work that out in a calculator myself. And I got 1,120. So that means that the amount of interest alone that she has to pay for, because she didn't have the money to buy this car, the amount of interest that she has to pay is $1,120. So this is not the final cost of the car, though. The final cost of the car is this interest paid plus the initial $4,000, because she has to pay $4,000. So when she's paying her money back over the 7 years, she's paying back all $4,000. Plus she's also paying back an additional $1,120. And this is how much money that person that loaned her the money, this is how much money they're going to make. This is what the extra money that they get just for being on the loan out, that kind of money. So the final cost of that car, which she thought cost $4,000, really cost $5,120. So it's just plugging things into the formula and then just doing the multiplication. And then remember, we always have to add it up. If it asks for the total price or the final price or the total amount in the account or anything like that, we have to add them up at the end. If it just asks us for how much interest was paid, then we would stop right here. And that's it. So the big thing to remember is the I equals PRT, and then what each piece of the formula means. So you should write all of those in. And then here's your independent practice to give it a shot and show what you know. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. G out.